Welcome to the deep dive. So here's a thought. What if everything you thought was real just wasn't? Seriously, what if one decision could, ripple backwards and forwards, change the past, not just the future?
That's a heavy start.
It is. And that's where we're going today. We're doing a deep dive pulled from this incredible book, Overstrike, Fixpoint Volume I. It's intricate, really thought-provoking.
It really is.
Get ready, because this might genuinely make you question, well, everything about time, reality, choice.
Yeah, this deep dive into Overstrike is quite a journey. And look, it is fiction. We should say that up front.
Right.
But it poses this what if that has these pretty profound implications for how we think about reality, consequence, all of it.
So what's our mission here today?
Basically, to unpack the core ideas, the amazing story in this book. Think of it as a shortcut to getting your head around a really mind-bending alternate history.
Okay, let's jump in. The book throws us right into the super tense scene. Crowded bunker, the prime minister sounds desperate, talking about Operation Overstrike. And there's this phrase, applying a reality graft far beyond what had ever been back-propagated and fixed before. So, okay, unpack that. What is a reality graft, and what's this RIFT?
Right, good questions. The RIFT, the book explains it as the gap between realities.
Okay.
The space between worlds.
Yeah.
You know, the sort of natural barrier that usually keeps different timelines apart.
Like lanes on a highway?
Kind of, yeah. And reality grafting. Well, that's the power, the ability to actually pull in a different world, or maybe make a specific outcome happen in your reality.
Wow.
And the book says people who can do this, the channelers, they see things differently, less filtered, it says, than, quote, normal people.
Less filtered. That's interesting. Is it like a physical brain change, or just how they perceive things? And you mentioned grounding it. How does the book use actual science ideas for this?
It seems more perceptual and innate thing.
Yep.
But yeah, the author cleverly weaves in real-world quantum mechanics to give it a kind of underpinning. Well, it mentions Einstein's God does not play dice, Schrödinger's cat, Young's double slit experiment.
Ah, the classics.
Exactly. The idea presented is basically a multiverse, where every choice is played out in tandem with its alternatives. But normally, these realities push each other away, mutually repel one another.
Like magnets.
Pretty much. But channelers can sort of overcome that repulsion. Schrödinger's cat is used as a metaphor, right? Cat's alive and dead until observed. It's like these multiple realities existing until a channeler observes or, well, chooses one outcome, collapses the possibilities. And the double slit experiment relates to how their observation, their choice, solidifies one timeline.
Okay, so it's grounded in these quantum ideas. And the people doing this, the book focuses on one family, right? The Howards.
That's right. It's an inherited ability passed down through generations. Joseph, then his son Tom, grandson Matt, and eventually great-grandson Ethan.
And they're these channelers. The book says they can pick these outcomes, like picking apples from a tree, which sounds incredibly powerful.
Powerful, yes. But picking outcomes, like apples, that immediately throws you into just a huge ethical mess, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And the story dives right into that.
Head first, with Joseph Howard.
Tell us about that. It's set back in the 40s, London during the war.
Yeah, 1940s London, total war. There's mention of Operation Unthinkable and this group called the Commission, which apparently started as the ACL, the Anti-Catastrophe League.
Right. The book even quotes someone saying Churchill's actions weren't as overzealous as they seemed in that context.
Exactly. And in this pressure cooker, Joseph, he makes this desperate pull, a reality graft. He chooses to save his wife, Ruth.
Okay.
She died in the Blitz, the 41 bombings in the original timeline. But to save her, he collapses another timeline, one where the ACL, his group, had actually managed to prevent the worst of the Holocaust.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the consequence is chilling. In the new reality, the one he grafted in, the Holocaust happened, as we know it, meaning millions of innocent people were killed, uselessly, brutally.
So he saves his wife, but
feels responsible for the Holocaust happening in his new reality. The moral burden is immense. The book really makes you ask, is any outcome good if the cost across realities is potentially infinite?
I can't even imagine the psychological fallout from that. Trading one horror for another. What does the book say this did to Joseph?
It shattered him. It describes him getting this alter vu memory. It's like a tidal wave, it says, of 7 years of conflicting memories from the timeline he erased. It just collapsed his mind, left him a mess of uncertainty.
7 years of memories just hitting him at once.
Yeah. This constant awareness, this juxtaposition of thousands of different conflicting realities, it drives channelers towards insanity. How do you know what's real, what's just a possibility, or a delusion? That kind of cognitive dissonance is hard to fathom.
So if you can literally change the past, even see possibilities, what does that do to the idea of free will? Are choices even real if you can see the options?
That's a central tension, absolutely. Characters worry, if someone in the future can see what they're about to do and stop it, was it ever really their choice?
Right.
The book kind of suggests that while anything could affect anything, maybe not everything does, the RIFT itself is sort of outside time and anchor. But yeah, the free will paradox hangs over everything.
Joseph's story is just heartbreaking, a cosmic level of tragedy.
Hmm.
But you said the gift is inherited. What about his son, Tom? How does he react to all this?
Well, Tom initially thinks his dad is just gone. Delusional.
Understandable, maybe?
Totally. He believes Joe needs serious psychiatric help, professional help, the book says. He just can't wrap his head around it.
But something changes his mind.
Yeah, he starts having his own weird experiences, competing memories, like his dad described, seeing his own baby grandson, Ethan, kind of.
Shimmering.
Shimmering, yeah. And even waking up once, restrained, feeling like he's in a psych hospital, is terrifying stuff. And these things eventually lead him to this place, the Branchford Institute. It's run by a Dr. Roundtree, and their stated goal is treating, quote, high-functioning schizophrenics who lucidly describe other worlds.
Wow, so the line between illness and this ability gets really blurry.
Exactly.
Oh.
Is it madness or a different kind of perception?
In the next generation, Matt Howard, Tom's son, how does it hit him? You mentioned his son, Ethan, shimmering.
Yeah, Matt's experience is immediate, terrifyingly personal. He sees a graft actually forming, and his infant son, Ethan, starts to shimmer and blink in and out of existence, sometimes appearing translucent.
Oh, my God.
Right, so Matt is forced, basically, to learn how to consciously access the RIFT himself. To chisel into it, the book says, he starts perceiving two Ethans at once, like asleep and awake at the same time. And he has to fight to force the multiple views apart just to hold on to one reality.
Just trying to keep his son solid.
Pretty much. Imagine that choice, that struggle, every moment.
Yeah. And while all this family drama is unfolding, that organization Joseph was part of, the Commission, it's still around, evolving.
The Commission, formerly the ACL, it grows a lot. It started with people from different backgrounds, military, political, but it becomes much more centralized, secretive. And their goal shifts to controlling this ability, defining what they see as acceptable outcomes.
Which is always dangerous territory, isn't it? Who decides what's acceptable when you're messing with reality itself?
Precisely.
So this leads us to the Commission getting more powerful, maybe more sinister. Under people like Stevenson and Hunter, what tools do they use?
Well, one really interesting and kind of scary tool is using channelers, like Matt eventually, with something called entropy generator.
Entropy generator.
Yeah, the idea is they can basically decrypt anything, nothing secret, no code that can't be broken. It sort of unravels information by looking at all possibilities.
Total information control.
And then it gets even wilder. They developed this concept called Aladdin's lamp, basically a tech-driven wish factory.
A wish factory.
It can apparently detect any desired outcome somewhere in the multiverse, and then find a way to sort of charm it into existence. Pull that specific reality or elements of it into theirs.
That's terrifying. Having wishes granted by a shadowy organization. But it wasn't just tech, right? They were manipulating society, too.
Yeah, and this is maybe the most insidious part. They use what the book calls salami tactics. Small slices, gradual changes.
Wow.
They push for things like compulsory mental health profiling, a health tax, all framed as public health initiatives for the common good.
Okay. Sounds vaguely familiar sometimes.
Right. And their strategy is deceptive. They start linking data sets that the government already have, pushing for mandatory diagnosis of psychological conditions, but secretly, they're mining this data for records of schizophrenic behavior, trying to identify potential channelers.
And control them.
Yes. They even start fitting adults with these biomonitors sold as health devices, a Trojan horse that secretly act as inhibitors to suppress the channeling ability.
Wow. That's some next-level social engineering. And this control has real victims, doesn't it? There's another channeler mentioned, Jacobson.
Yes, Jacobson's story is tragic. He was recruited by the Commission. But then he's accused of killing his own father.
Did he?
It's complicated. The book reveals he was manipulated into it, partly because of an accidental reality interaction by Tom Howard, who's just trying to prevent an argument.
Oh, man.
So Jacobson is caught in this impossible state The book calls him both guilt and innocence smashed together, and the commission. Those you see him as collateral damage, like casualty of war. They eliminate him because his fractured reality is inconvenient.
Ruthless. It really shows how disposable individuals become when you're managing realities on that scale.
Absolutely. It raises huge questions about responsibility when your reality can be actively messed with by forces you don't even understand.
So let's circle back to the Howard line. Matt's son, Ethan, he grows up, and he's got the gift, too.
Oh, yeah. And he's not just got it. He's apparently exceptional. The book says he was not just a natural, he was a virtuoso, innate mastery.
And does he use it? What's his first big move?
His first really significant reality graft is huge, a massive 2-month-long intervention.
2 months? What for?
To save his mother, Jane, Matt's wife, she had a malignant brain tumor. Ethan's graft puts her into remission.
Wow, that's incredible, but risky.
Extremely. An intervention that big, that long, it's described as a sonic boom in the RIFT.
Yeah.
And it immediately alerts the commission. They now know he exists and just how powerful he potentially is.
So the hunt is on.
Definitely. This sets up the final confrontation.
What does the commission do now that they know about Ethan, and how does he respond?
They intensify the search massively. They start putting out emotive news reports, painting channelers as unstable threats. They push for indiscriminate action through compulsory screening, basically, trying to purge society of anyone with the ability.
A witch hunt, essentially.
Pretty much. Ethan gets desperate. He tries something incredible to text the past.
Text the past. How?
He tries to imprint a message, "Stop fixing Ethan," into his great-grandfather Joseph's old journal, hoping to warn them somehow.
Did it work?
No. He finds himself actively fought and beaten by some unknown opposing force in the RST. It's unclear who or what another channeler, the commission from the future, the RFT itself resisting. We don't know.
So he's cornered.
He is. And this leads him to this just heart-wrenching decision.
What does he do?
He realizes the only way to truly stop the commission, to undo their grip on society, their manipulation, is to remove the reason for their power grab, which is ultimately people like him. His own existence, he decides, is the small price to pay.
Oh, wow.
So his final act, the book described it as almost euphoric for him. He performs one last massive reality graft. He pulled in the other world, and at that instant ceased to have ever existed.
He erased himself.
Completely, from all timelines. As he does it, he thinks, they couldn't stop him because I'm not there to stop. It's the ultimate sacrifice, unmaking himself to save everyone else from this fight over reality.
And just like that, he's gone. We're pulled back from that intense story. What a journey through Overstrike Fixpoint Volume I. The Howards, the commission, reality grafting. So much.
It really covers a lot of ground reality bending, these deep ethical questions, sacrifice.
Yeah.
And, this fictional story, it does push you to ask things about our own reality. The book has this line, if the only thing that differentiates reality from imagination is memory, then could dreams be as real as alternate realities?
That's a mind bender.
It is. It makes you think, doesn't it? If your memories changed overnight, would you be different or would the world be different? What's the anchor?
And the book ends, well, the epilogue shows a new reality, right? One where Ethan was never born.
That's right. In this new timeline, Matt and Jane, instead of Ethan, have a daughter. They name her Hope.
Hope. A slightly more optimistic note, perhaps.
Perhaps. Or just different.
So this deep dive into Overstrike, it leave you with some big questions. If every possibility exists out there, if there are forces, seen or maybe unseen, nudging our reality, how do you choose to live your life? What reality do you choose to believe in? And maybe, what would you sacrifice to protect it?